Awesome. I think we're live. Well, welcome. I'm Joe, Profit First Reseller, and we have a very special guest here to my right. We got Tech and Sports joining me. So thank you so much for joining me today, man.
Of course. Like I told you a moment ago, I just love the positivity and I just need more positivity in my life just like yours. So you asked if I would come on.
Thanks.
I'm truly honored to be on, truly honored to hang out with you. And even if we don't even talk about reselling, I just want to talk and hang out and have fun. That's it.
Oh, I agree, man. I just want to shoot the breeze a little bit. And just to give a little bit of background here, and you may not even know exactly, but you really are my main influence in my eBay business. For the last 6 years, I've just been listening to your message over podcasts and over YouTube, and I've just been executing. And I really didn't even speak up until last year when I kind of wanted to start letting you know, like, what an influence and what a difference you made in my life. So I appreciate it, man. I've just been kind of keeping my head down and just executing and just listening. And what I love about what you do, and you're almost a philosopher in a way. And I think that you're really interested in speaking statements that are simple, they're often profound, but they are always true. I think you're interested in the
Always.
truth in a way,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah.
do not speculate unless I tell you I'm speculating. If everything outside of that is going to be 100% factual from eBay's perspective or the platform's perspective. If I'm going to speculate, I will preface it by saying I'm speculating.
And that's why I'm excited to get into Better Lister, which is this app that you've maybe launched, or that you definitely launched. I'd love to get into it a little bit later on. And what's
We
funny
can, but
is
I
over
just
the
want to
last
make it be
years now.
known. We can, but I just want to make it be known. I did not come on here to talk about that. I came on here to
Oh
talk
yeah,
with you, and you are bringing it up, but I did not come on here to talk about that. I just came on here
oh
to hang out with you.
absolutely.
That's all.
I, I know that there's a little bit of fatigue in the space of talking about AI, but I think you really are on the cusp of building the tools that are going to be shaping how reselling is going. And what's interesting is you're right. Usually, I've noticed you're not interested at all in predicting the future, and yet it seems like over the last year-ish, you've been dropping a lot of hints as if you're starting to get a peer into the future. And I started to be like, oh man, this guy's got to be involved in some way to be speaking, because you do only speak when you've got some real knowledge about something, and you've been
Of
dropping some
course.
hints along the way over this last year. I see big things coming, and so I've noticed it, man. It is, and it's an exciting time we're in, really.
I leave some breadcrumbs, so like if one day I get hit by a bus, people can go back to the beginning and listen, and they go, "Oh, that's what that guy was talking about."
Yeah. You're always very careful with your words, but anyway, before we get into all that, one thing I've been wanting to ask you. You've talked for a long time about how you saw your life kind of in two sections in a way of where you're going to put that 40 years of work in, and then almost maybe a second half where you kind of are able to start changing, and you got the second half where you've explored. You even have put a little bit on the YouTube channel where you're seeing mountains for the first time, you're exploring. And I'm kind of
Snow.
just wondering, yeah, yeah, snow for the first time. That's right, yeah, and that's all pretty recently, right? Like you talk about head down, focused working. Like you really have kind of segmented that first section of your life, and now as you're transitioning, as somebody, I relate to you so much in the way that you talk, and almost just I'm just curious, what's it like on the other side? How does it feel? Is it what you expected? Obviously you're not slowing down, but I wonder if things have changed with the less of the warehouse stuff. So.
So it is much more slower because it's not 24/7 me intensive. Everything revolves around me. So like before I was very like actively working on everything, and now I get to wake up and do whatever I want every single day. So like today what I want to do is come on here and talk with Joe. In the past I wouldn't have had that opportunity to do it because I was head down and I had a million other things to do. So like I love to stay busy, I love to stay active, I love to stay positive and productive. And the difference between, the head down for almost 20 years on eBay every single day, grinding away, listing items and shipping items and sourcing 55 thrift stores, and now is like, now I do whatever I want to do. And if I want to go to the flea market on Saturday, I will. If I don't want to go to the flea market, I won't. Like today, I didn't go to the flea market. I didn't want to go. And it's okay. No problem. But in the past, I had to go to the flea market because I had to build this business and keep this beast alive. But today, I just didn't feel like going. So I didn't go. It was a little bit rainy. I figured the turnout wouldn't be ideal. So instead of going out there and sweating for 2 hours, looking at the same items that I've seen for the last week and no one's there, just don't go today and it's okay. So I think the biggest difference is like I'm totally in control of my life and I get to do exactly what I want to do. And if next week I want to go back and see snow again, I'll just go back and see snow. There's nothing handcuffing me to any one place or any one thing or any one moment in time. I have total freedom now, and I owe all of that to the eBay machine, and I owe all of that to reselling, because without that, I would be in a much different predicament, guaranteed.
Okay, now I need you to help clarify this a little bit, because from the outside perspective, I'm looking at you. You've got this Patreon community of 2,500 people. You're hosting daily calls. It seems like, in a way, you've got this app and all you do. It seems to probably have a lot of weight of responsibility, and yet you're talking about your life now as if you're so light and free. Is that just a reflection of how intense your life was before, or is this just your mindset? Because it seems like you have a lot of stuff going on.
Probably a reflection on how intensive it was. But again, I want to wake up every single day and do the morning call and talk to hundreds of you guys. That's what I want to do. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it. So I want to wake up every single day. I go on the treadmill, we talk for an hour, we strategize, we get ideas. That's what I want to do. If I didn't want to do it, I would stop doing it. So like for right now, in this moment in time, I enjoy it. I enjoy the 4D chess with everybody, because everyone has an opinion. And at the end of the day, we all know what happens. I enjoy that challenge, and I need that challenge every single day. Like, it's mental gymnastics going in there, one verse 250 people. And like, I enjoy that. And it's an exercise, and it keeps me sharp. And that's what I want to do. If I didn't want to do it, I would wake up and go do something else. I would go fishing. But unfortunately today, I don't want to go fishing. Maybe one day I will, but one day when I want to go fishing, I'll just go fishing instead. So I always want to have a little bit of projects going on. I always want to be trying to do something that is going to change, like a very great. I don't want to do anything that's going to change something very small. I want to do something that's going to change a large amount of things for a lot of people. And I think, like, if you look at my track record, like, that's what I've always done. Like, once upon a time, people thought it was impossible to have a 10,000 item store, and I already had 15,000 items by then. So like, we broke through that wall, kind of like the 4-minute mile. Like, people think the 4-minute mile is impossible until one person does it. And now you got high schoolers out here breaking the 4-minute mile. So like, sometimes it just takes someone to break through the wall to show that things are possible. Think outside of the box. And like, the reseller space honestly lacks a lot of innovation. There's a lot of copycats for, I don't know why other people are doing this, but I'm going to do it. But like, if you look at every single one of my systems, I built this stuff on PVC pipe, cardboard, and tape. I had to invent this. Like, there was no reseller Home Depot. There wasn't YouTube videos out there and tutorials and tricks and tips. And like, the more that we can innovate and be visionaries inside of our own business, on, inside of the business and on top of the business, like, the much farther you're going to get. And I think, like, when we do not understand why we are doing stuff and we're just following somebody or following the leader, we lack confidence inside of our business. And if you lack confidence inside of your business, what are you looking for? You're always looking for the next idea, because the next idea is the idea that's going to work, because you don't know what works. You're just trying and bouncing around a bunch of different things based on feeling, never based on fact. And you end up having, 365 days of experience, but it's one day at a time. You have 365 one day's worth of experience. You do not have a full year of experience, because you've jumped around every single day on something new, because we're on a new trend, or we're on a new this, or we're on a new that. But like, one of the things that like I'm most proud of in like my very, very short social media journey is like, the message have been consistent and been the same the entire time. I'm not jumping around. If people want to jump around, jump around. My message has been consistent and exactly the same the entire time.
Yeah, I get that. Actually, I just recorded a podcast with Mike, a toy Mike, toy silly, or squirrel brain optimist. And we had a good conversation about, is it does seem like there's an intersection. I wonder if it has to do with a little bit of ADD tendencies, but I noticed that too, where resellers are they're looking around at the other resellers and doing what they're doing instead of looking at the buyers, I think
that's
if you
all that
look
matters.
At the actual number of dollars being spent, there'd probably be less people running to Whatnot when you actually look at the amount of dollars spent on static sales versus live sales, especially if you're looking at the reselling space and you're like, if everyone's going to Whatnot, and yet all these, again, it's a meta game. And I think obviously there's money to be played in both, but to do something just because your competition is doing it seems almost to be antithetical, right? We need to be based on some kind of principle. And that's why I love what you're talking about, because what you teach is principles. I feel like for the first 5 years, when I'm listening to your YouTube and your podcast, I never felt like I needed to ask you why, because your whole message is steeped in why. Like that, you're a why
Yes.
kid too. I could tell you're a kid that asked why. I'm the same way. I'm like, I need to know why, but I never. So, you get a lot of how questions, but I'm doing a totally different niche from you. I'm doing electronics. But I'm taking all of your whys and just applying it
Exactly.
to a different category. So I'm working out on my own hows all day. I don't have to ask you about that stuff, right? I
Yeah,
can
sure.
Google an Xbox repair, but the whys are the important stuff, and that's what's going to direct your business. I think, or that's where I think maybe a smarter way to direct your business.
All the principles and foundations translate across every single niche. After you've gotten the why of the principles and the foundations, it's up to you. You got to take the football, you got to score the touchdown. You have to tailor your Xbox repair system on top of the foundation that we talk about every single day. And you bring up a why kid. I was such a why kid that my mom was a single mom. She was a waitress. And back in the old days, you might be too young for this, Joe. Back in the old days, they used to have people that went door to door and knocked on your door to sell you encyclopedias. My mom could not afford them, and she had to make monthly payments, and she bought a set of encyclopedias. I didn't have toys. I went everywhere with a letter of the encyclopedia, and I just read the encyclopedia every single day because my mom, she would get questions, and I would say, what are clouds made of? And my mom wouldn't know, or she would give me an answer, and I'd be like, well, why does carbon monoxide act like that? And like at a point, you just run out of answers for a kid who wants to know why of everything. And that's probably one of the best things my mom ever did was buy an encyclopedia set and throw one of those books at me every single day. I distinctly remember being in the car in the back seat, no seatbelt at this time. This was back in the day, Joe. No seatbelt.
That's a little before my time, then.
Distinctly remember opening up like letter Z and reading all about zebras when I didn't even really know how to read. And I think that curiosity and that hunger for looking for fact-based resources, I think that totally translates into what I do today. And it's probably one of the best investments my mom ever made.
That's beautiful, man. It makes me emotional to think about it. I mean, obviously, it was a bit of a financial sacrifice at the time, but for her, she bought that for you. I mean, it sounds like that was for an investment and for you to be able to have an answer to these questions. I wonder if that help shape who you are. I mean,
imagine how curious I was as a kid when my mom at 3 years old couldn't even read. Hey, just look at these encyclopedias all day, please. Figure it out yourself.
Figure it out. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, we had some kind of Encyclopedia Britannica disc for our iMac. So that's as far as generations go. So I didn't have the internet. I had an encyclopedia, but it was digital, a little different.
Once upon a time, you had one book for every single letter, Joe. One book, and it weighed about 3 pounds. And if you were lucky, you had an XYZ. They put all 3 of those on the last one.
Yeah, I mean, that's Wikipedia. I mean, I spend so much time on Wikipedia. So
Me too.
I get it.
I like that. I like Wikipedia a lot.
From the moment it came out, I could hear even my college professors were like, "Oh no, Wikipedia, it's only 99% accurate." I'm like, if you look it up, the Encyclopedia Britannica is also 99% accurate. Like, it's not perfect either.
It's whoever's opinion wrote it at the time.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what was the moment for you that made you think AI might be something here? I remember you talking about at one point taking a picture of a shirt draped over a chair with bad lighting. Was there a moment where you were like, I think AI could be a real, whether it was a personal thing or in relation to business, or how's that started to work its way into your life here?
So I think like if you go back 3 years ago and you tried to use Google Lens was garbage 3 years ago. Horrible. It doesn't matter what you pull up. And I remember one day I was trying to use Google Lens and I was trying to take a picture of something in front of me. And again, showing my age. I accidentally took a picture of myself because it was on the wrong screen. So I was on the front facing camera instead of this camera, which I was trying to take a picture of. And I took a picture of myself wearing these headphones. And these are white, nondescript headphones. Google Lens knew that this was from a Samsung Galaxy S10. And I said, whoa. And this was like 2 years ago. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, Google Lens has become a fantastic resource where I distinctly remember when people were bringing it up going, oh, Google Lens is garbage. But now, dude, Google Lens is excellent. And then you have Chat GPT coming on. And like when I was getting my taxes set up this year, I was asking it tax questions. And like in 3 years, Google Lens or Chat GPT is going to be able to do your taxes. Like that's how good it is. And if it's getting better every single day, and rewriting the entire history of mankind every 3 hours. It's always going to be learning, and it's always going to get better. Like, we are in the infancy stages of, this technology. And it's kind of like, it doesn't go like the encyclopedia from A to Z in one jump. It has to go to A, B, C, D, E, F. So like, just like the first organism turned eventually into the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It didn't go from single cell organism to Tyrannosaurus Rex. There was a time period of billions of years where this thing flopped around for a little while and then grew a leg and then caught a feather and eventually turned into a Tyrannosaurus Rex, whatever you believe. But AI today is, 2 weeks ago, you had to manually list every single item that brought into your hands. Now you have something that will get you 99% of the way there, and you have to proofread. Maybe you have to make a couple corrections here and there. Eventually, in a couple of months, in a couple of weeks, maybe in a couple of years, we will have something where you can snap a photo, close your eyes, do the hokey pokey, and it will come out with a perfect listing. But we're in that kind of timeline where we're coming from single cell organism, transforming into a T-Rex of a beast to list automatically for you. But there is a timeline in between. And the timeline in between is today, where 2 weeks ago you couldn't. Today you can take a picture, upload it into the software. It will give you a professional listing where maybe you might have to change something here and there that maybe you personally disagree with. And that's okay. But give it another 3 weeks, give it another 3 months, give it another 3 years. But that's the part that people don't see. People want a totally refined T-Rex on day one. That's not how the world works. Like Henry Ford released the Model T. We have Bugattis right now that are doing 400 miles an hour. But what about everything in between? People always forget that. And it's these in-between steps of like incremental improvement on a daily basis that a lot of people overlook and don't consider. And if you look at my business, it's just a direct result of these incremental steps every single day, compounding, getting 1% better on a daily basis. I didn't go from my first listing to $2.5 million on eBay. It took me 15 years to do that, of every single day, literally every single day, did not miss a day. But it took time to do it. So today, with AI, with technology, with everything, today, ChatGPT can help you with your taxes. In 3 tax seasons, it's going to be able to do it by itself. It's this incremental improvement every single day that we need to accept, and we need to understand, and we need to realize that this is how things improve and this is how things get better. And the early adapters that figure stuff out and get on the wave will be the ones that have huge advantages going forward, because they're going to be able to streamline their processes 3 months faster, 6 months faster, 1 year faster. And I am a direct beneficiary of first to market in doing eBay the way that a lot of you guys are doing it. I was already doing that 10 years ago by the time people started doing it. I was already making connections with vintage guys at the bins, where now people are just now trying to do that. I was already listing 120 items per day every single day. I was first to market in the eBay business that a lot of people run today, and I had 10 years of a head start. And now the gap is closing with technology. So even 3 months of a head start, 6 months of a head start is going to be gigantic. So early adapters, first to market, is always going to win.
Man, you brought up so many things, and even me, somebody who loves technology so much, I am still I feel like barely wrapping my head around how quickly things are moving right now. Because you brought up Google Lens, and Google Lens was a big, mind blown moment for me like 2 years ago or so, and I really realized the power of it. But now, just this week, there's a gal who's really crushing it on YouTube right now, Texas Gal Treasures. She's an eBay reseller.
She's been around
YouTube
for a long time.
150,000 subscribers now. Like, she's doing, and now she's really getting deep into the AI and reselling niche. And she just released such a banger of a video of basically comparing Google Lens with a modern AI tool. And it's making Google Lens all of a sudden look like a dinosaur. Google Lens can bring up maybe the right model, and then it'll bring up a couple of sold comps, but it's not going to know the condition of the one that you took a picture of and then adjust its ability to price based on the condition that it sees. Like, there's so many more levels of cognition. It really starts to feel like intelligence. These are the kind of things that before you'd have to, it would be such a complicated program to write, and that's why it hasn't been written before. but there's these you can create these large language models, I assume. So yeah, is that I assume, have you been using AI behind the scenes in your business at all? Like, how do you use these AI tools? Are you using any of the other tools, or just Chat GPT in general when you're out in the field? Or how do you
Well,
incorporate it?
our program I've been using for a while because I've been testing it a lot, and like it's come a long way even in the last 6 months. Like what it was 6 months ago, like you're saying, it was a single cell organism, where today, we're kind of transforming into T-Rex. And I can't imagine what it will be 6 months from now. And like, believe it or not, there's going to come a day where people are going to forget that we used to manually list items on eBay. Can you believe that? People are going to forget that we used to do that. And it's happening already. Just after 2 weeks, people are like, I can't believe I used to list manually on eBay. And, it's just constant evolution. And when these things do happen, when they do come, we have to make sure that we are pivoting correctly, and we are, riding the wave as far as it's going to take us. And, there's going to be a lot of positive impacts, and there's going to be a lot of negative impacts on AI. And on every single coin has two sides. So like on our side, like we're talking about the positives, but like the negatives of it is, sourcing may get a little more difficult. Like Goodwill and thrift stores and Salvation Army, they may, become more efficient at identifying product, and they may be listing it because now it's easier to do. So now what do? I've talked about it a lot of times, literally from the mountaintops and on the Grand Canyon. I literally talked about this, that we need to segment, specific inventory that is just for us. If we are always going to depend on those doors that automatically open from us with four walls and Taylor Swift playing in the sky, where they are voluntarily actively presenting us profitable inventory, how long can that last for? Especially with what's going on today. So like, we really need to take an honest assessment, and it sucks, but like, honesty is key. And if it's not working good, or you don't see this thing working for the next 3 to 5 years, we need to start making changes today. And like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about reselling today. We already know what to do. I always talk about reselling 3 to 5 years ahead. So that way we can start thinking, because in 5 years, if you try to make this change, you're cooked. It's too late.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Wow. It makes it really, the amount of intelligence that's involved. So I'm curious if we can get a little bit into the nitty gritty. And I know that you're not the programmer behind this, but can you let me know?
And
a little
also,
bit of the
I
origin
didn't
story
come
of
on
this?
here to talk about this, Joe. I didn't come on here to talk about this.
All right. I don't want to get too
No.
deep into it, but
no, I just don't want people to think I'm on here trying to. I'm not, bro. I came on here to
you're
talk
so
to you.
humble. No, I get you.
Always. I came on here to talk to you. But if you're curious,
here's
fine.
the deal. My favorite technologies have multiple layers of abstraction between you and what's actually happening. Here's what I mean. Something beautiful like an iPhone. All I got to do, I got to push one button. I got to say, call mom. And all of a sudden, a million things are going to happen. It's literally digitizing my voice. It's going to a satellite. She's on a different cell provider. I don't have to worry about that. It gets switched over. She's on Wi-Fi.
Triangulation.
So yeah, all that stuff, right? It's like so beautiful. Apple took so many layers of abstraction when they created the iPhone. They just made so many things just simple, where there is so much complexity behind the scenes. It's something like there's so many examples, and what you're talking about has so many layers of abstraction removed, where it's really almost removing an entire section of eBay reselling potentially, where literally it's like photos in, listing out. And like, so much of my job, I focus on listing, so I'm watching the space really closely. That's the majority of the time that I spend. My shipping is efficient. All that, my sourcing is efficient. I spend a lot of time listing, but essentially my job is data entry, and a lot of that could be automated. I just don't trust anybody with it. I know that I'm a good employee, but eventually I love contractors, and I love especially automated tools. There's something especially cool about that, where it would just scale with me. However many listings I do, that's what I pay for. I love that kind of model. So I'm curious about it.
How does it work? Dude, it's so complicated. Like, if you could just think about like putting anything on the face of the earth and getting like a professional title with accurate keywords, and then conversating with eBay, which is an entirely different beast in itself. Like, do you know how many categories are on eBay?
Oh, I have no idea.
Over 20,000 categories.
Whoa.
And eBay doesn't even support all of them. So
as
like,
far as the back end, like the
API? As far as the API doesn't even support all the categories. So like, if you have some kind of flux capacitor, eBay is not even supporting it on the API. So like, we have to manually go in there and like fix thousands of categories as well. And it is a humongous task. It's something that eBay cannot even do. eBay cannot do this. And it's something that up until this point, the way that we're doing it, where you insert listings and out comes a professional title, all the item specifics are filled out, the price is there, the category is there, and you just have to proofread and press submit. Up to this time, nobody else is doing it in the world.
Yeah. It's so hard for me to even wrap my head around this kind of tech, because even for something as basic as title, which is so important, as you know, we want the important keywords towards the front. We're thinking about what the customer. Do you have any idea what that title data is based on? Is it based on solds? Is it based on the eBay data? Is it based on something that you put in of like, here's a proper title? Like, how do you start with something like that? Or is it just figuring out along the way and then patching in what you need to patch in? Because so much of it is just, it generates the first draft for, please fill me in if you can.
Once upon a time, eBay had no guidance, no recommendation for title structure. They just released that maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
I have been doing the group for 6 years. I have been first appearing on a podcast since 2016. So almost 10 years was my very first podcast. I had already figured out what title structure was best for eBay 10 years before eBay released any communication. And it just came from putting yourselves in the customer's position, putting yourself in the customer chair. How would the customer search for this item? And that's how I modeled my titles. And how would a customer search for this Nike shirt? They're not going to put blue shirt with a check mark Nike. They're not going to write that. They're going to put Nike shirt, gender, size, color, keywords. That's what they're going to do. And that's how I modeled all of my titles inside of my store. And once upon a time, when I had my world domination store, the entire front page, most times, was more or less all of my items. And I was getting, and they tell you right there, it's sorted by what? Best match. So you have to bestly match whatever the customer enters inside of their query. And if you can best match what they insert, eBay is telling us we just don't pay attention to it. eBay is telling us match the customer search query the best that you can. That's all you have to do. So on the software, I have instructed to do the best match for every single customer search query across the categories. So like if you're going to list a video game system that's black, that when you press the button, there's a green light that comes on, and it has a 3, a 6, and a 0, how are you going to title that? You're going to title that Microsoft Xbox 360. You're not going to title it black box when you press the button, the light turns green. But like customers don't search that way either. But when you look on eBay, that's what people are titling their items. And the eBay algorithm is a translator between us as sellers, our seller language, and the buyer language. And if we can make their translation easier and more seamless, odds are you're going to have better results in search. But if you put purple monkey dishwasher size, blue, orange, green, large, 80s, single stitch, no one in history is going to ever type in that search query. But if you go on eBay right now, someone has that title, and they're wondering why their item is not selling. So they are a translator. We are speaking French. The customer is speaking Spanish. eBay is the translator. And you know what? They do a damn good job of translating our gibberish into what the customer is looking for.
I love that. And I'm certainly far from a marketing expert, so don't take this anything other than just like my own random thoughts. But hearing that you have put your own thoughts and like almost as if your own DNA into the core of this black box of a machine that I would be handing off my business to allows me as a consumer to have a little bit more trust. Like it's almost like in the science fiction novels, like the Isaac Asimov talked about like robots being created with like, I don't remember what the exact rules were, but they had like 3 rules they had to follow no matter what, like their base programming. And I almost wonder if like, for me at least, the marketing would work of like it's got the core, like here's the core, it's focused on the sellers, or it's focused on text principles or whatever it is, or like here's the direction that this thing is based on, because it's scary to think about handing off a big part of your business to anybody and that's why I haven't done it. That's why a lot of people haven't done it, and because it's going well, and yeah, just so many things can go wrong in that process.
But what's the alternative? What's the alternative to that? The alternative to that is a bunch of people in Silicon Valley who have never been on eBay and are going to create a program like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Because what I'm doing is not sustainable. Working 60 hours a week listing like a maniac is not for everyone. You get
Dude, been
this,
there, done
and
that. Been there, done
it,
that,
because
dude.
and it does it is so much of it could be automated. It is so repetitive. Even every time when you talk about even like how you predict where you're going to put the mouse as the next thing loads, like that
Yeah,
could and should be automated one day. Like all those little tasks, it's just a matter
yeah.
of like making it dependable. I mean, there probably is a app that can move your mouse around. I just don't trust my computer with it yet. So so much of
Yeah,
it is based
and
on trust. And like,
that's a huge
yeah,
thing too, is like as these technologies become new, and I was the same way, I've always been the same way, you have to gain trust with them. And you gain trust with them by using them and seeing like what their
yeah,
nuances. Because like I don't care how well you design something, or even like for my one of my employees when I used to have them, I always knew that this particular person would always put this particular sleeve at this particular sleeve type. I knew it was wrong. I knew she was going to do it every single time, and I never corrected her. Why? Because if I corrected her on that, I fall asleep at the wheel when it comes to that. And when I used to proofread her listings to launch, I always wanted to find one error. Because if not, I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel and I'm just going to launch listings that may be no good. So, like, it doesn't matter if you're a person or if you're a robot or if you're a cat or a dog. Like, you're always going to have some kind of nuance in the programming, and people are programmed too, where like you're always going to do one thing a certain way no matter what, and it's up to someone else. In my instance, where I was proofreading an employee's listings, where I always knew, hey, this person, she's always going to list this particular way. I just need to be ahead of that, so I know what to expect. I need to just change one keyword, and I can submit, and it saved me 2 minutes of listing an item because now it took me 2 seconds. So that's just the name of the game as it is right now. When we turn into the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you can close your eyes and spin around, and they're perfect, then you don't have to do that anymore. But in today's day and age, you got to proofread, and if you can shave 1 minute and 58 seconds off the listing, like what can you go out and do in that time? You can go out and get more items, make more money. You could go fishing, you could play basketball with your kids. There's a lot of things that you could do. And like you said, like the data entry of eBay selling is the most like archaic thing in the world, man. Like Amazon has catalogs. Like you just zap the UPC and Amazon will bring up the catalog. They've already done it. But like the archaic manual listing of data on eBay is totally mind blowing. And we're still doing it in 2025. It's crazy.
it does seem like that is the only reason in some ways that these other marketplaces are able to get a foothold right now, the
Yeah.
Mercaris in a way, because they've just made listings so dead simple.
Yeah.
Even I like the photos would upload instantly on Mercari, and I know Vinted is a very similar experience.
Vinted is
Over in
so
England,
easy.
super
Yeah, it's
easy,
so
right?
easy.
And like
Yeah.
in eBay, the first thing you're like, what's a SKU? What like for a newbie, it's
You
intimidating
have
to be
no idea.
listing like that. Yeah, and then all of a
But
sudden to be changing it like this, it's just so interesting.
also like to eBay's credit, they have one listing format that can literally list every single item on the face of the earth. You want to list a pencil, it's the same way as if you would list a VHS tape. And that is very, very hard to do. And these other categories or these other platforms focus on clothing. Like even Poshmark, clothing focused. You can't list a flux capacitor on Poshmark. You can list one on eBay though. And it's the same exact format, it's the same exact tool. And that is very, very difficult to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder how eBay thinks about all of these tools. I know yours, and there's a couple other that are planning it. Yours it seems to be one of the first to market here as far as like actually producing a product that is working and listing things on eBay. But I just wonder how eBay thinks about it, because eBay is trying, and I do give them credit for that. It does seem like they're experimenting, and even a lot more than the other marketplaces. It seems like Facebook's just given up on everything. Like eBay has just owned the market. Facebook still enjoys the local, I think, with the groups, but as far as like
Yeah.
online used marketplace, it's just eBay. And I give credit to eBay, even though they're in such a comfortable position of a somewhat monopoly. Like there is this bulk listing tool that I gave one shot, and I'm like, this is horrible, but it
Brutal.
seems like they're trying. And I wonder if they're looking at this as like, you are helping us, because they don't seem super API friendly. They in their whole history, it's different than Amazon, where all these listing tools seem to be encouraged, and these pricing tools and all that. It doesn't exist for eBay. And I think it's not that the demand doesn't exist, but because it's so hard to work with eBay on the back end to get something functional, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's built on sticks and stones, and they're one of the oldest platforms as well. They've been around for 30 years coming up here, but I think that they should absolutely be encouraged, because I think yesterday we listed 60,000 items on the platform, so like they gotta love that. And if you look at the results, they're selling, they're selling, they're selling, so like they have to love it. And pretty soon they'll probably take notice. But if we are bringing them 60,000 listings, if we are helping people increase their listings, that's probably what they want to see. They want to see people listing more items, and they want to see people selling more items, and they want to make sure you're not listing garbage. And all of our listings are independent. They're going to use different keywords for all kinds of stuff. So we're not doing like one listing. Like if you list a Tommy Bahama, it's not good. Everyone's not going to get the same title. That would be filling up eBay with garbage, and that's irresponsible to do. So like from their perspective, they have to love what's going on. All of these people can now list easier. They can list more. They're selling more. It's a net positive. Like we aren't distracting or detracting people from the platform by saying, hey, go to this platform. We're not doing that. This is a tool strictly to bring more listings onto the eBay platform. And eBay's been great to me, and I am more than happy to bring them as many listings as I can, because I know the power of eBay. It got me to the position that I am in by doing it every single day of my life, just like you, Joe.
Yeah. Man, you're going to make me excited thinking about it, because I think this could be the key, because you're right. What eBay wants at the end of the day is quality listings listed to their store and then fulfilled.
That's
and
right.
Maybe the only thing I can imagine them being wary of is, are these listings quality listings? Are they going to be fulfilled upon? But if you're the one leading the charge, and it's the people from the Reseller Greatest Facebook group, and all the people that are associating with you and your YouTube channel, and if these are the ones who actually do have a decent handle on the fundamentals of eBay, hopefully if they're listening, they should, right? I think that could be a good step in, because I think eBay has got to be cautious. But if it goes well, because y'all are paying them just for the API access on the back end as well, so they're almost getting paid twice for. I mean, if the listing sells, obviously that's a listing that they get paid on, but then also just the listing itself, that might be profitable.
It's not free. It's not free. There's costs. It's very expensive to build a professional listing, because you have to look at every single photo. If you want to look at one photo and think that you could list clothing accurately, without a doubt you cannot. Like with media and stuff, that's a little bit easier, because everything has already been cataloged. Everything has the same kind of artwork. Everything has a UPC. You can get away with looking at one or two photos in some categories, but like for clothing or shoes or toys or anything like that, you have to look at every single photo in order to get an accurate item listing and description and title and all of that stuff. So like there are like some serious costs incurred, but like ultimately at the end of the day, like if people get their time back and they can get more listings up and make more money, like that's the name of the game. And like I wish I had that back in the day. Like, dude, I spent so much time listing items, man. Like I've done the math before. Like let's just say on like, even if I only spent 4 hours a day manually listing, 4 times 7, dude, I spent 1 day per week, like a day and a half per week, just sitting on my computer typing. So everyone else in the world had 7 days a week. I had 5.5 days a week.
It's data entry. It's not glamorous, is it? I mean, it is a job, and it'd be
like,
cool to automate it. I'm not going to be sad to see it go, honestly.
And if you extrapolate that out, if I had 5.5 days per week and I was giving away 1.5 days per week, that's what, 75 days per year. I was giving away 2.5 months of my life every single year, sitting, and that's 24 hours. 24 hours. So I was giving away 2.5 months of my life every single year. Everyone else had 12 months. I had 9.5 months to live, just manually listing items. But you got to do it. It's part of the game. I've been there. I've done it. I am thankful. I would not take it back. I'm happy I did it. It taught me a lot of discipline. It taught me a lot of consistency. But it was tough giving away 2.5 months a year, my man.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if people are hoping that this is going to allow them to escape all monotony of business, I think you're missing the point. I think if you're able to automate this part of your business, it's just going to get replaced by, all of a sudden, shipping is going to become
more shipping.
Where sourcing is going to be, if you actually want to get that much supply, it's probably going to be the same stuff over and over again. So I don't think you can escape the monotonous work, but to increase efficiency, then you're talking my language. I mean, saving time, that is my primary currency that I'm concerned with above money at the end of the day, is quality time
That's
the rest
it.
of my life and buying that time. That's amazing.
Not until they have robots that can fulfill your orders, but those will come one day. Probably in 7 years, we'll have robots to pick, pack, and fulfill our orders.
I've seen even the task of folding laundry is still pretty hard for robotics. Like Samsung tried to create some big, just because
And it was
there's
like
so many
falling apart.
different
Yeah.
shirts and there's so many different
And like
sizes
this,
and shapes. And
you have to have 10 fingers to do it, not paddles. Yeah. They'll figure it out though, man. Don't worry about it. They will figure it out.
Yeah, I'm really excited, man. So I want to get in a little bit into the specifics. So we talked about the title and description. So over time, like the title and description, it's based on the existing data on eBay, or is it based on the internet's data? Like, how is it creating the title structure? I guess specifically, maybe maybe I know so little about this. I don't know how to formulate the question. So forgive me for that, but
it has a set of instructions, and then it pulls data from everywhere to line it up with those instructions.
Got it.
Because if it had no instructions, it would just list stuff willy-nilly, however it wanted to. But it has a set of instructions. It has guidance. It has a standard operating procedure, and then it will pull the information from everywhere and fit it into that.
Love that. I think it's so. I have always been the techie guy, and maybe it's my age here, tech. But all of a sudden, I'm feeling like a Luddite a little bit because it's really helping me increase trust. Where I feel like I'm just somehow distrustful of new technology, but hearing what the principles are, hearing where it's headed, really helps me to understand it a little more. I guess. I mean, I'm just it increases my likelihood. I think I want to look into it.
Yeah, it's still everything is very new. It's always everything that is brand new is intimidating, and this is a perfect one too. And you talked about, I'm starting to explore and travel out. Prior to this year, I was a horrible flyer, scared to death, because I'm giving away all my control. And if you guys know me a little bit, I like to be in control. So like I was giving away all of my control, sitting down in a circular tube in the sky, going 600 miles an hour. I have zero control.
Especially when the physics. And I don't even fully understand the physics, and that freaks me out too. And I don't fully understand, like, how is this thing staying in the air? The whole thing.
Yeah. So like, I'm sitting here, and I'm terrified of doing it. You know why? Because I've never done it before. But in this past year, I've been on 14 different flights, and I get on and off a plane no problem now, because I'm accustomed to it. And none of us here are afraid to jump in the car. We've driven in a car 10,000 times, 100, a million times in our life, and statistically speaking, driving to the airport is more dangerous than getting on the plane and flying to wherever you're going. But none of us are scared to get in the car and drive to the airport, but we're afraid to go on the airplane because the airplane is new. We don't do it every single day. It's not customary to what we're doing. And that's the same thing with technology. The same thing with eBay in general. eBay is very scary because we're brand new to it. We don't know what it is. But if you get on 14 flights in 1 year, you're less scared. Am I still a little bit scared? Yeah. But am I absolutely terrified like I was on flight number 1? The answer is no, because I've done it now. I've done it 14 times. I've done it in increments of flying somewhere and 5 days back, flying again. So like I didn't even get the time to prepare myself to go, okay, I got to actually come back now. And it was I just got to jump back on 5 days later. So I think, as you do anything more and as you do any more task more repeatedly, none of us are scared of getting in the car. We've been doing it since birth. It's second nature. But flying on an airplane, no thank you. Like for now, go on a submarine, apprehensive. But if you went on a submarine 100 times, you'd go jump on, no problem.
Yeah, I think the best advice, I think you're right. The more I use AI, the more you understand it. And it's not necessarily that you just trust it implicitly, because like all technology, you start to understand the quirks of it. But you also start to understand the power. Just like Wikipedia, like, yes, it is anybody can technically edit it, and it could be wrong sometimes. And sometimes AI does kind of hallucinate. We were having fun last night with the kids. I had it generate a quiz on Skylanders with questions tailored to everyone's age for family. But it was wrong. My daughter was like, no, they don't. They don't have that kind of weapon. And so I was able to type it in. I was like, why did you think that? And it was like, oh, I think I just conflated it with another character. Like it almost like the AI kind of misremembered something, almost like a human. But it's almost like you can have this back and forth. And yeah, I almost had a real aha moment the other day. I was sitting down, and this is me getting old. I was just dumping all of my pain of my ankle. I've got ankle pain, and I'm like, it might be plantar fasciitis, and it's like worse in the morning. It's around the outsides of my heel. I was just trying to be as detailed as I could. I had put out this paragraph or two, and I put it in. I was like, "Can you give me any stretches or any massage or anything? Like, what can you do?" It's almost as if I'm talking to a physical therapist or something, right? And it was an amazing answer. But then at the end, this was like the aha moment. The AI, I think I was talking to Grok at the time, was like, it basically prompted me to prompt it further. It was like, you gave me some information that you
Sure.
run, but can you tell me exactly how long you run, for how frequently? I want you to tell me like exactly where you stand, what kind of footwear, where you, when you work during the day. And I just kept more and more information. And I realized like that is really the power
That's the
of
key.
AI. Is information overwhelm is not
Yeah,
really a thing in the same way. The more data, the better.
that's
And to
right.
just really be able to dump your thoughts into this thing, it's just so interesting. And that really is the power of where you recognize when you're looking at these tools, this is the worst they'll ever be. Like they love data, they
Absolutely.
love
Absolutely.
feedback, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, the more information that you can give anything, even for you, the more information I can give you, the better off our relationship will be. The more information we can give eBay, the better your results will be. Like there are items on eBay with the title that says shirt. That's it, just shirt. And they think those items are going to sell. But the more information you can give, the more keywords, the more particulars that you can enter, the more item specifics that are accurate, the better chance that you're going to have. But there are listings right now that say video game. That's it. Those are very hard listings to sell. So like the more data, the more information that you give anything or anybody, the more luck that you're going to get every single time.
Yeah, I got this thing out here that this, I don't know if most people know about this. This is a Kickstarter campaign that I funded a little while ago, and it's this little pendant that records all the spoken words all around it 24/7. So I can charge it at night, but it's just recording, and then it can give me suggestions. It's like AI powered, and it'll be like, "Hey, you were a little bit short with your kids the other day. Next time when your kid's pretending to be Superman, instead of telling him to stop being Superman, you can say, 'Hey, Superman, why don't you go do your chores now?'" Like literally, it's giving me feedback
Wow.
on my life. This thing is so insane. And I had this moment the other day where I'm like, as I just started wearing this thing, but as we get more data, I'm like, what if I just dumped every conversation my wife and I have ever had and been like, can you help us improve our communication? Like
Sure.
as if no therapist could ever possibly have that much context. So while it might not be an experienced therapist in some ways, the amount of data that it could be able to pull from of like every conversation we've ever had for the last 3 years, it really has gotten me thinking in really some interesting ways.
Dude, what a time to be alive, huh?
I got this. It was like $200 or something, but I'm like, what if this captures a few of those conversations at nighttime when I'm with the kids and they're looking up at the ceiling and they got some question and like I'm gonna forget those things, but this thing won't. And I'm like, that is so powerful. So I'm like, I want to capture every word. So it's interesting,
Dude,
man.
the other day on the 100K call, a guy named Chad, he has made his chat GPT. You could do voice, and he puts a earplug in for the phone, and he will hold up an item he doesn't know what it is, and he'll describe it. And chat GPT will say this item sells for over $30 or less than $30. So now he knows every single item to pick up. So like he knows a lot of stuff, but maybe he'll come across a shirt. Hey, this is a Ralph Lauren polo shirt that has a big crest on the front. It's the color red. The tag looks like it's from the mid 80s. Is this something I should pick up if I want to sell something for more than $30? Yes.
Wow. And again,
Yeah,
that's the clunkiest it's ever going to be. You know, that's like the
absolutely.
first cell phone of somebody like, I'm talking to somebody and I'm away
Yeah.
from my house. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but pretty soon I think everyone will be able to just determine the value of everything. Like you're just walking
Absolutely.
into someone's house and you're like, the approximate value of everything in your room is $22,000.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
instantly. It's going to be a weird time to be alive.
And
Just
then
the amount of data that we might have to turn on or off in a given time.
yeah. And then they have the meta glasses where you can look at stuff and you can ask it how much it sells for on eBay. I have them. I've done it. It's not great right now, but I've done it. I've gone to like the flea market and held up an item and said, like, how much is this board game worth? And it will tell me, on average, this thing sells for $12. It'll get there.
Yeah. And they might as well just make the listing for you right there. Take a
Might as
couple
well,
pictures
right?
of
Yeah.
it, put it in the app
Might
right
as
there.
well. So like the
Man.
race is on, man. Like we like in 3 years, reselling will look dramatically different from what it is today.
I'm not going to ask you to speak ahead, but it seems like those that have their systems down are going to benefit because
Of course.
if listing becomes easier, then maybe everything else is going to become harder. Not just because of maybe having to do it more, hopefully become more successful, but also because it's going to be more competitive for all the other things. So you've been talking a lot about how thrift stores are not the same, and that's not a prediction. That, I mean, it is, because you've been saying it for so long, but that's
Yeah, I've
just the
been saying
reality.
it for so long,
Who's
and
not
now it's
saying that at
reality.
this point? It's here.
Yep.
It's everybody's saying that there's not as much video games at thrift stores anymore. There's
Yep.
not as much good this, not as much good that. Yeah, it's
And
and
my
clothes. I kind
favorite
of feel like,
part, my favorite part is to go. We were talking about that 5 years ago. That's my favorite part of all of this. And for like one day, so I actually have on the podcast coming up in about 3 weeks or so a manager from a nationwide thrift store chain that everyone has gone to. And they told us all the secrets. They said that they are expected to assess an item every 3 seconds. And you think about that and you're like, dang, that's really quickly. Like I have to assess this shirt, this video game, this cassette tape every single 3 seconds, which is very, very fast until you mount a camera above a table and it can do it in 0.3 seconds. And now 3 seconds looks very slow. So one day they will have a camera mounted above the table and they will just put stuff through like a grocery store cashier, and they will just zap stuff, and every single 0.3 seconds they'll have 3 lights on the sky. That one is green, we're going to put that online. One is yellow, that's going to go into the store. One is red, that's going to go into the garbage. And they're just going to scan items just like a grocery store would, and it's going to be able to pick them up this quickly. And that's when sourcing is going to get immensely more difficult than it is today. And that day will come, because the process will get more efficient and their listing process will get more efficient. And I've made a bold prediction, and people argue with me on this. In 15 or 20 years, Goodwill might be online only and might not have brick and mortar exposure anymore. Only donation centers and just sell online.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, brick and mortar is so expensive. You know, anybody that's had commercial leases, it is so much money, and then paying your employees
and every single Goodwill is on Main Street and Main Street.
Yeah, and they're building
not,
the other systems. They're online. So many Goodwills are on eBay. They're on Shop Goodwill. It's already happening.
They're on Whatnot.
They're already building the systems. They're on
Goodwill
Whatnot
and Salvation
now.
Army are on Whatnot now. Like individual stores are selling stuff on Whatnot out of the back room. On Salvation Army and Goodwill have their own Whatnot shows now.
Wow.
So like Goodwill of Kalamazoo has a Whatnot stream, and they're selling all their Lululemon in one show today, 2025. And good for them. They need to get their money. They need to sell their items. They need to support their mission. eBay needs to get their money. They need to sell their items. They need to support their shareholders. Great on them. I am not a hater. We just have to make sure that we are positioning ourselves to get enough of the piece of the pie that's good for us and our family, and that's it.
I'm excited. I identify as a freelancer, so I love working solo for the most part, and I love tools. And when you're talking about these advanced tools, like, yes, they're going to be available to the big businesses, these automatic scanners, but these days that could also be an iPhone app, where I just got to mount my iPhone and I'm just going to be sliding stuff underneath, and I can have my own little assembly, my own little one-man assembly line that I'm already kind of doing, but now maybe
you can make that today. You can make it today. But we don't think about that stuff. We don't think about it. You hook up your iPhone,
the tools are there,
to ChatGPT, and you can have your own scanner today. Is it going to be 100% accurate? Maybe not. But if it's 80% accurate, how much time do you save and how much more money do you make?
Right. I mean, it's all, I believe in it. I believe in the tools, and like the more I spend on, I've done some therapy stuff. I did this physical therapy. I'm doing the stretch, by the way, that Grok told me to do every morning, and it's like almost eliminated my heel pain. Like, it's absolutely, like, it's just, I think if you try this stuff out, I think you're gonna understand what it's like. I mean, it's just incredible, man.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I don't want to spend your time here. How's it going so far? You've launched an app. I think a lot of people have thought about it. Is that what you thought? How does that feel? Are you doing a lot of tech support? Are you offloading that? Like, what's that like? What's it like running an app, like basically an online app? How's it going?
We're just rocking and rolling, man, day by day. Like I said, yesterday was, what was it, 60,000 or so? Like, we're just getting after it, man, doing the best that we can, just trying to get better every single day. It's the same principles behind that as everything else. Just like the group is no nonsense, no drama, only focused on helping people. Every single day we're getting better, building up our catalog every single day. And like, we have the most amount of resources anywhere on the internet for reselling. And like today we're going to add like 14 more hours of resources. And like there will become a point, and we may have already like surpassed it, where like if you join the group today, it is physically impossible to watch every single video that we have. But we have the resources, we have the foundations, we have everything streamlined for you. But like just every single day, incrementally just getting better. And like as technology gets better, we will get better. As eBay gets better, we'll get better. As you guys get better, we'll get better. As you guys want stuff, we'll implement it. And is it what I thought it would be? I don't ever really have expectations, man. I just wake up in the morning, put boots on the ground, and rock and roll. That's what I do. And just figure it out as you go, because you can have whatever plan you want, but it doesn't matter. You just have to roll with the punches and know what to do when it's time. And when it's time to zig, you got to zag. And when it's time to make this decision, you got to go with it for full conviction, because you have to trust in the process. And there's been a lot of times in my business journey, in my eBay journey, where I was very uncertain, very, very uncertain. Like, can you imagine jumping from 120 to 250 listings per day, doubling the size of your warehouse, taking on your first employee? And you know what happened after that 3 weeks later? COVID hit, the entire world shut down. I doubled my business by 110%, took on my responsibility of having a full-time employee, doubled my warehouse space. 3 weeks later, COVID hit. And you know what I said? We will figure it out. I will trust the process, because if I keep doing exactly what I've done to get me to this point, everything will work out eventually. And what happened? It worked out way far beyond my wildest dreams. You just have to trust the process. If you know what you're doing and it's based on fact and it's not based on feeling, you can trust the process and you can keep moving forward. And everything else that happens in the world, people will say whatever they want to say. People will do whatever they want to do. You run it through your filter. Doesn't apply to me. I need to trust my process and trust my mission. And my mission here on YouTube is just to help people. I can get caught up with all the okey doke and all that stuff, but that detracts me from my mission. And my only mission on here is to help people. And if I didn't want to help people, I wouldn't do this. If I didn't want to help people, I wouldn't sit on here on Wednesday night. If I didn't want to help people, I wouldn't be hanging out with you today. That's it. I'm not asking anybody for anything. I didn't ask you for nothing. I just want to come on here and help people. And so long as it's based on fact, not feeling, and you are true to what you are trying to do, and you are steadfast on your mission, everything outside of that is a distraction, and it's pulling you further and further away from what your mission is. So that's why it's so easy for me to do exactly what I'm doing, regardless of all the noise that's out there, because it's very easy to get wrapped up into it. But that detracts me from my mission. And as you guys see, I have a humongous mission. I'm trying to do something that eBay cannot even do. And eBay is a multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500 company, and they cannot do it. And we are
actively trying. And you're doing it better.
We are doing it. We did 60,000 items yesterday. We are doing it. We're doing it. So if my mission is so strong, how can anything in this world detract me from that? It's impossible. All that stuff doesn't matter anymore. It's insignificant. It does not matter.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything, man.
Yeah.
It goes for everything.
Won, man. And you're right.
If you're listing 10 a day,
already won. Yeah.
But if you're listing 10 a day, that's your mission. Nothing distracts you. Nothing gets you off that track. Nothing persuades you. That's your mission for the day. And everyone's result needs to be the same every single day. And if the result that you're looking for is list 10 a day, every single day that result must be the same. If it's not, then you got detracted from your mission. You've got sidetracked. If you listed 7 or listed none, you did not fulfill your mission and the result was not the same. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're brand new, everyone has a mission, and that result has to be the same every single day of mission completion.
So much of my day, it seems like I'm just trying to remove those barriers from what's important.
Yeah.
There's only 1 or 2 things I got to get done, but there's 10 things standing in the way. And I might have to kick those out of the way, figure out some systems, or just prioritize. But man,
and a lot of times,
I see that. Yeah.
A lot of times people try to speed up, people try to get better, people try to improve by adding, addition by addition. Makes sense. But every single time you're going to take a leap in your business is always addition by subtraction. You have to eliminate stuff in order to get better. I had to eliminate a lot of negativity to get where I am today. And I made a New Year's resolution several years back to eliminate all the negativity from my life. My life has never been better. My business has never been better. And that's why when Joe says, hop on with me, I'm all for it, because you are the most positive guy in the industry right here. And anytime you want to talk and chop it up, I am there for you, because that's the energy that I need. Because once upon a time, I didn't have that energy. I didn't come from that energy. I had a lot of negativity in my life. And when I decided that I was done with it, my life has never been better. My business has never been better. Because you know what? None of that stuff matters. especially in the internet age. Something is something is so crucial today, nobody cares about it tomorrow. Literally nobody cares. And things might seem like a huge deal today, but by next week, they're not a huge deal anymore. By next month, it didn't even matter. And, you know, we all have our challenges and our situations and circumstances, but I know for me, for one, when I eliminated the negativity, everything took off after that.
Yeah, thank you. I see it. I see it in you, man. And I'm just so grateful for it. I'm grateful for you taking the time. I'm grateful for the Facebook group you've got. Like you're saying, I think you have actually created the Encyclopedia Britannica of reselling content behind that group. Once you get in that group with all the posts and then the brand specific knowledge, and then like thousands, tens of thousands of hours, countless hours, like good luck listening to them all.
Easily.
It's amazing. Yes. And it's real people who feel a little more open to share because it is a bit of a smaller space. It's real people who are working on eBay. I live in the replays of those calls, man. So thank you for everything you're doing. The morning call and all that stuff. You act like it's nothing. You wake up every morning and you inspire people, man. I appreciate it. So thanks for what you're doing, man.
Trying my best, man. Just trying to help someone in a way that all of this has helped me, man. And truly, I had a son at 18 years old. I barely got out of high school. It's not because I couldn't do it. It's because I didn't want to do it. I'd rather be doing something else. Didn't go to college, worked at CVS, and fell into eBay, and I was off to the races after that, man. And if it wasn't for this glitch in the matrix, I would be in a bad spot, honestly, dude.
We're all lucky, man. And we're lucky to have you. So I appreciate you, man. I want to respect your time. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I got nothing else to say. You nailed it, man. I'm so fired up. Thank you so much for doing this with me, man.
Let's get after it today, man. Let's get it.
All right, awesome. See you guys next time. Peace.